Boom. Part 2. Here we go. Tech stack. Can't wait to talk about it. My favorite stuff. Although sometimes it's my avoidance stuff, but let's do it. Let's go part 2 for number 46. We're going to dive into a little deeper. I think we had some extra thoughts on the tech stack from last week. So, Jason, how's it going today, my man?
Doing awesome, man. Freaking making it happen out there. Got some big boy things in the works, man. It's good. Some tech stack big boy things, plus some business things going on. So yeah, it's gonna be awesome, man. Super pumped up.
Awesome.
The path is so clear right now, dude. It's ridiculous. It's super pumped.
So the path is clear. How easy is it to stay on the path each week?
Oh my god, it's like playing dodgeball when you're trying to stay on the and everybody's trying to like pelt you with stuff and you're like dodging this and that. Yeah, no, it's shiny objects all over the place to get you off course. Like you said, we talked a little bit about it and you mentioned it, using tech as an avoidance thing, right? I always need something better to make it easier, right? And I had this call with the team today on our morning pods and stuff, and it was like just having that awareness, like, hey, what's going to distract you, or what do you always replace with, when you know that you need to prospect and follow up, and just having the awareness of that. Is it scrolling through social media? Is it finding a better way to do what you need to be doing instead of just doing what you need to do? But having that awareness of, okay, every time I need to prospect, that's when I schedule showings and I schedule home inspections and I schedule doctor's appointments and I schedule all this other stuff. It's like, no, time block that time, man. Leave it crucial. If you just do those two activities, 1 hour of prospecting, 1 hour of follow-up every single day, that's the biggest needle movers in your business.
Yep. That's tech is my go-to, as I think I posted about last week too, but it's my go-to because I just enjoy it. I had a tech podcast when I was in high school, just about like news and and anybody that knows me knows I'll talk about what's the new Google product or Apple product or this product and what, I could literally
you were wired before wired.
Guess so.
Well, let's talk about good things with tech, right? Tech's not all bad. And, we kind of went into it last week with, some of the tech that both of us are using for our teams and, what kind of value that provides. But, as sometimes we do on the show, we get a little long-winded. So we want to break it out for part 2 today, right? Kind of dig down deep into some of the software programs that we didn't hit up. And what we use those for. I'll start one of the, and this tool's free for team leaders, but Slack, SLACK. We use it for our team messaging. What I like about that is, you can direct message individual. You could have group messages with everybody, and it keeps track of everything. Ooh, is that you calling?
Not me.
Sorry about that. Technology is getting away from me, if you know what I'm saying here. But Slack, so group messaging, direct messaging, and it's not like we used to have like just like a team text thread, right? And it just got overwhelming with like kind of how do I find important info, right? So Slack is nice because you can create what's called channels. So we have a channel for open houses. We have a channel for new listings. We have a channel for rental properties. We have a channel for showing support. If you're on the team and you need somebody to cover for a showing for you or whatever, you can message in that channel. And, other agents can chime in there to see who could help you out. So we really love that as just a team communication tool. It's been awesome, and it's free.
So I've because I'm the tech nerd that I am, I've gone through Slack, Discord. I've done Facebook Messenger. I've done Workplace Messenger. I've had my own internal workplace for just my team, not EXP, and I've had a lot of them. And
Slack, wrote your own program.
Yeah, Slack is a really, really good one. The best part about Slack is a lot of things are integrated where you can like auto post, like what, for example, when you create a listing or new deal in Follow Up Boss, you can have it post to like a channel. So we used to auto announce it when I was in Slack years ago. Um, but one thing and they're all good, by the way. Like, but when I said, but for anybody wondering where is the tech nerd on the now? Well, Google Chat has been really good for us. One, because it's inside of Gmail, but the other thing they just rolled out literally last week, it could be a really, really cool thing. And this doesn't mean if you have a good working system, don't change it. But I'm just talking about what we're doing right now. They rolled out Gemini, Google's AI, into our team chat. So I can now search our team, and I'm sure Slack and all of them will eventually roll out AI because everything's getting AI. But last week, Gemini rolled out in our Google chat that I can literally search in the chat, just ask the AI, like, hey, when did we talk about 123 Main Street? And it'll pull all the messages. I mean, it would summarize the messages since I've last viewed it or for the last week, and it'll just summarize all the talking points. So as AI integrates into some of these chat systems, it's I mean, I know even for email, they have on the Gmail app on Android, they have Gemini in there, and you can click summarize this email. I think iOS is probably doing it now and stuff too. A lot of them will start to, but it's really nice when you get those. Like we get weekly newsletters from the kids' school, and they're just like
Yeah.
bullet point this for me, and boom, boom, boom. So how AI is coming into some of that stuff, because you're right, having those rooms is super cool. But now AI might be able to start to organize our thoughts on some of that stuff too.
Yeah. Now, like you said, AI is, you know, getting its tentacles in everything that we do, which is nice, like you said. But I like, one of the big things with the team is having communication. Like, how do I do this? How do I do that? An open forum if they have questions, and the team can kind of chime in and answer their questions for them. So if I'm not available, like we're doing the podcast now, other people could respond to their message and help them out. It's just a nice, like, central location for communication.
So with both of our chats, right? Because we both had them, and when you have a team or a group or whatever, can you imagine, like, let me ask, like, what would culture look like without a chat? Whether you have brick and mortar or not, what would the culture look like without the chat?
Yeah, I mean, we had just a regular group text thread or whatever, and it was a mess. People posting memes and posting all this kind of stuff, and then you kind of lose like the value of the message that was supposed to be transferred, right? Was not being transferred because it's a laundry list of LOLs and all this other stuff.
And they tune it out.
Yeah, tuning it out. So,
Yeah.
another
Well,
tip
really,
on
and with just period, just having the chat though. I mean, like, could you imagine not having a group chat for the, because I've ran a team before group chat, right? Before we had one, not, but not
yeah.
before we had one, whether it's text or whatever. Could you imagine, like, there'd be no culture. You'd almost, I mean, you'd have the meetings, I guess, but like, I personally feel having that from a team perspective, or maybe a smaller team, I don't know. I think having that universal place, especially to announce the sales for us, and even for me, when
Yeah.
every time we sell one or goes under contract, we put on the board because we have like a sales board.
Yeah.
And it just like you're like cheering other people on. There's just positivity flowing. You know what I mean?
Good point, man. Definitely a different underutilized advantage of the team chats and the Slack and everything is that kind of like cheerleading and rooting everybody on, celebrating everybody's win. Or, sometimes friendly competition. Oh, I saw so and so got a deal. I need to get a deal. That kind of stuff. We also post our leaderboard for our monthly thing. And, it's super close this month. Like, it's going to be like within points. And I'm getting, messages in the Slack like, hey, could you send an update today? I'm like, no, I got to announce it tomorrow during the team meeting. And they're like, oh, I want to know if I won. I'm like, well, get after it today.
Yeah. It is good. I mean, it drives everybody. It's healthy, and it's yeah. I mean, it does it to me when I see that stuff too. So,
Yeah.
okay, so chat. Um, Here's what I want to know. I'm kind of currently in between a few. What do you use for CMA, market reports, stuff like that?
We just use Flex MLS. I mean, is that the MLS that you use?
I mean, that would be a
Are
different,
you
but
Bright or?
no, Stellar down here in West Penn, obviously in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
but it's matrix based.
Yeah. We use Flex MLS here, and it works pretty good. I mean, I like it. There's also RPR that you could
Mhm.
use for market. Like I'll use RPR if it's like a property that's not listed in our MLS, and I'm kind of trying to gather some info. That's a nice tool that's free for realtors.
So I've used Cloud CMA as a big one. We used to have it for free. It's going away to be for free in Florida. I think it was provided for free. But one other pro tip for anybody watching: a lot of brokers offer KV Core now. KV Core is a sleeper on the side of a listing presentation. They actually have a really good tool if it's connected with your MLS and everything to comp a house, and I like it a lot. It's actually been one of my favorite visual.
Really? Ooh.
Yeah, it's really good. I'm currently trying to make everything in and out of FUB, so like I'm not, but I use KV Core quite a bit over the last 18 months for CMAs and reports. I kind of tend to do a hodgepodge when I do a CMA anyway. I like to get different. Like another area I go to is homes.com. There's a pro tool for if you're a real estate agent, you can actually create a CMA and do a little bit more. And it's a little bit more surface level on homes.com, a little quicker, but I like cross-referencing. Like a lot of times if I'm comping a house, I'll do homes.com for surface level. I'll go, something like KV Core for or even MLS or Cloud CMA or for mid-level, and RPR for like a super, super deep level, really, really number based and
Yeah.
analytical. And I'll even sometimes do all three.
RPRs makes you look like you're like fucking Einstein. I mean, there's like graphs and historical data, and you got freaking neighborhood data and school district data. It's like, yeah, it's a little overwhelming. Like I said, you get it, and it's like 75 sheets. It's like, all right, I want to kind of keep it simple for the team. I like the report. I like all that kind of functionality with it, but I'm like, all right, now you have to teach on how to present to that.
Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, from a scaling perspective, and just like your team-based offering, I agree. You want simple. Simple solves the complex, but I think for any agents wanting to go deeper on the expert side of things, when you talk about CMAs and the tech to do it, I can't stress or if you're just an agent that has on a team that has a simple process, do that simple process, but take it further with all the tech tools that are provided to us, because I love to look at a CMA from every like a home value. I like to look at it from every angle possible. I want to look at it from a price per square foot, from a closed, from a pending, from an active, from a market area, from an inventory level, from inventory level on the zip code to the community to I go crazy with it because
Well, you're super analytical though, for
yeah.
sure. You're going deep down into the weeds where it's like you're almost borderline appraisal.
Well,
Uh,
here's the
but I
thing.
like it, like I said.
So no, I wanted to make a point on that because that's good. You're right. I'm a little insane. But here's the thing. If you are to do anything like that, or if you're crazy analytical like me, what you do though is you take all of the things that make you want to push the price and go higher, stack them up. And all the things that make you want to pull the price or go lower, you stack them up and kind of see like what I tend to see is, all right, 75% of these items tell me I should push the price, 25% tell me I should not, I should lower. So overall, I think I should be on the higher side of what my CMA is dictating. So my point, you're right, but if you're going to do anything crazy like that is do it and then see, stack them up. But I don't know. I've made mistakes in the past where I look at not enough data. And because there's always some houses are really, especially in Pennsylvania, there's some
Yeah.
really unique circumstances. So anyway, I nerd out. You're right. I'm analytical, but
See, I'm on the other side of that with the CMA, where it's like, hey, look, this is a price range to kind of get you a general idea of what your price your house is worth. If your house isn't in as good condition, maybe it's on the lower end of the range. If yours is nicer, then maybe it's on the higher end of this range. And let's kind of talk through that and strategize as far as pricing between that kind of ballpark range. And then a pro tip for agents: first rule of Fight Club is don't talk about Fight Club. First rule of CMAs is you don't email or send a CMA ever. Never, ever, ever. If somebody's not willing to meet with you to go over and kind of, it's a big report. They're not willing to meet with you and they just want a number from you. They're probably not going to likely to use you anyway. But if they have that kind of desire, motivation to do that,
well,
then
The number without explanation doesn't really do
Yeah,
anybody any good.
yeah. You haven't seen the house. You're sending an idea of value, and you haven't built a relationship. Like, what are you doing?
So if you were so, all right, so cool. Let's transition over. We talked a lot of team stuff, I feel like, with all of our stuff. So if you were a solo agent, let's do this. If you were a solo agent, just starting or whatever, just on your own, no team,
Yeah.
and you had to grab the bare bones tech stack, bare minimum as you can, but to be efficient as you can, what would you go for?
Uh, I'll break it down to 4 or 5 things. One, you want some kind of, even if it's a Gmail, some kind of professional email, like your first initial last name or your last name at Gmail. If you don't want to get like we have Google Workspace and all our team has at teamjg.com. So it makes it look professional, right? It's not coming from, hot ass 123 AOL or whatever, but make yourself look professional from email, right? What people see is what they're going to remember. So come off as a pro, right? I like the Gmail suite because or Google Suite because you could get the calendar, right? So you want to be able to track your time. So that's number two. Number three with that is that has built-in Google Meet, right? So if you can't get face to face or that you don't have an office where people could go into, you could do Google Meet and have some kind of online conference call with them to kind of just show that you're a real person, right? Not some stranger weirdo from the internet, and you can provide value that way, right? Um, and then let's see.
So Google. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
Google.
anybody that needs any help with the Google stuff, shoot me a message because I'm a bit into the Google ecosystem right now. So, all right, what CRM are you picking?
Well, I would say before we do that, for kind of your branding and stuff like that, Canva,
Okay.
right? Kind of creating your email template, make that look professional. If you want to do your just listing under contract, sold pending, whatever, all that kind of social media stuff, you could do all that right from Canva. I think that's a good pro tip, right? And then, like I said,
Canva is clutch. Like, how did we ever do? Like, I remember because Compass was one of the first ones I think that really like did it at a brokerage level. And I was always like, man, their branding's pretty sick. And I'm like, I remember when we realized it was Canva, and I'm like, what? Like everything is so much easier with Canva.
yeah, yeah, it's nice. And I'm not going to pretend like I'm the expert at it. You dig in the weeds and you send me some stuff. I have my admins and transaction coordinators that are way better off at designing stuff. I got like the design of a caveman. I'm like, put my face on
All you need.
it.
Well, Canva can make you look sick.
Yeah, I'm like, make me look pretty. I got a face for radio, not podcast, but whatever. But Canva, I think, would be a super good tool. So I'd say like just the basics, right? There's a couple apps for getting property information. Market View Broker. Sean, our lender, came in. He was talking about that. You could get current interest rates. It also has a mortgage calculator. So if you want to get people off the Zillows of the world, you could have them download
Market
that.
View Broker?
Not Market View Broker. What am I talking about? Hold on.
Yeah, I was just saying, I didn't think that was the right platform.
Yeah, Market View Broker. Yeah, no. Mortgage News Daily. I'm like I said, I'm an idiot. But Mortgage News Daily, find all your interest rates. Has a mortgage calculator so you can check your payments and stuff like that.
Mortgage News Daily. I never heard of that.
Yeah, it's pretty slick. So the basic apps, and then, like I said, just just have all the apps that you need to be a pro on your phone, right? Something to take pictures and videos, right? Obviously, every phone has that, but like your showing time apps. There's Landex where you could kind of find property values and stuff like that, like things like that, where it's all car. Like with Apple, it has a measuring thing, so if you need to get room sizes or anything like that, you could have the measurements right from your phone. So something where it's like, okay, your phone's not just to scroll through social media while you're on the shitter. Use it for tech and your stack.
You didn't talk about the number one thing it should be used for.
The phone,
Yeah.
following up.
Calling, texting.
Yeah,
Yeah. So what
exactly.
how are you doing that as a solo agent?
So as a solo agent, I would say if you're just starting out and you're not joining a team or anything like that, you need a database. The earlier that you could adopt that, technology to your business, the better off you'll be. And here's the reason why. You can't remember everything. So say if you make 5, 10 calls or whatever, and you have 3 or 4 conversations, between the time that you had the first conversation and the 10th, you're going to forget a lot of that information that was sent to you. So get it out of your head. You know, you could get all the details from your conversation, who you talked to, what they liked, what they're looking to do, you know, family, friends, all that kind of stuff. So if you don't talk to somebody again for another 3 or 4 months or whatever it is, next time they call you, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, that was Chad. You still looking for 3-bed, 2-bath in the Dallas area and all that? And then they're gonna see that and be like, holy shit, you remembered. It's like, no, I didn't remember. The system remembered it for me, but that's why you want to have a system as like your assistant. But definitely, if the sooner the better that you could do that.
Well, and here's the thing, for those that don't use the CRM, it's like, make a Google sheet and, just list out the people, if I know all my clients. Okay, cool. We'll write them on a Google sheet, put a date column next to it, last contacted date.
Yeah. If you don't want to go down the route of a CRM, just message us in the chat. I have a business plan spreadsheet where it has a hot sheet for talking, who's a hot buyer, seller, so you can kind of put notes and everything like that, and at least have it on paper so it's visual. Your top 50 people that you might be working with at any time, and then you could organize them and highlight them from like fluorescent green is like, okay, these are the hot ones, and then as you go down yellow or whatever, and then say, okay, so who do I need to talk to? Open up your spreadsheet.
When you start,
that's another good software tip too, dude. Get yourself some Microsoft Office, right?
I hate Microsoft Office.
Whatever, you're a Google Docs guy, but Microsoft Office, and especially, it's a little expensive, but Adobe Pro, creating PDFs in our business, man, it's so huge.
When you were new, your first year, what piece of tech did you use the most?
The first thing I got was Adobe Pro because I was an IT guy, right? Huh?
For what? What'd you use it for?
So scanning all my docs, the PDF, if I was creating a Word doc and then making it into a PDF for people to sign or stuff like that, I just saw, okay, I need PDF for everything. What's the best one? What integrates with everything? Adobe Pro. And spoiler alert, if you have kids with a .edu address, you could get a school version of it that's much cheaper.
I've never used it.
What?
I don't know. I just hit print, save as PDF.
Oh! So aggravated with you right now with all the tech stuff, and you didn't have that. Adobe Pro is the best. Combining multiple files into one PDF, like, okay, so why would I use that, right? And I tell the team, okay, let's take it back a step, right? So we have a process, top 10 ways to structure your offer for success. One of them is to combine all your documents into a single PDF and send it out. Why? How many times do you get an offer from agents and it's 50,000 PDFs or different documents and it's all disorganized, and then you're, trying to freaking figure out, okay, you're on a fact-finding mission, trying to figure out what your offer is, right? Have something professional that kind of goes through the whole thing. But that's a good tool for it. There's free versions of stuff out there, dude, for like $100 or whatever. Get that shit. It is gold. I think they even have a subscription-based one now, but I got the actual one where, you don't have to pay for it every month. You just pay one time.
What tech have you run into over your career that you would wish you never ran into, that you would stay away from?
You know what? When we're first kind of organizing all our files and we had everything kind of in Google Drive, and, another tech thing that we did was create Google Sites where we can manage it, and it kind of ties back into Google Drive, but it kind of organizes it. So I'll say having everything just as a Google folder or file inside a shared thing and not kind of organizing that. I mean, I wish I started with more organization and kind of putting files where they needed to be.
So what? Oh, you didn't answer the question.
I'm pulling a Kamala and just like not answering.
Oh,
no, I'm not getting full.
Oh God!
I'm just saying. Look
what you're doing. You're gonna get this podcast.
I diverted.
You're
not a political message. I'm diverting the question. It's a good. It's a good strategy for when you don't have a good answer. You just answer with whatever else you thought.
No, you had to have a piece of tech that you've run into over your career that you just would never go back to.
You know what? I hate Mac. I'm the biggest anti-Mac guy. So when I did have Mac laptops and stuff like that, I just didn't really kind of like the ease of like or the functionality. I was always just a window guy. So if I have to go back to anything and kind of hate on any kind of the software, I'd say Mac.
Man, I feel like everything you just said, and I know you enough to know that it's legit, and Jason's. That's what works for Jason. I feel like everything you just said, the majority of agents I talk with would be the opposite on everything.
Uh, well, it's like my son. He's going to Temple, right? Like represent the T, but what did he want for going to school? He wanted a Mac laptop and all that kind of stuff. And I get it. It's a lot cooler than his old man carrying my Microsoft Windows Surface Book and all that kind of stuff. It's not, but everybody likes their own. My brother, I have a twin. Spoiler alert, if everybody doesn't know that on this thing, right? So I have a twin brother, and all his stuff is Mac, and he loves it. And we butt heads. I call him a hipster doofus.
So I agree with you. If I was a new agent, a solo agent, or leaving a team, whatever. If I was on my own, no team, Google is the way to go. You can do your meetings, your calendar. For like $10 a month or so, you can have a scheduling link on there. Your Gmail, all that stuff. Google Sites, Drive, Docs, everything. So Google is great. Canva makes you look amazing. If you don't know how to operate it, hire out. The big thing though is that I would add or change or make sure that's the point is I always had to have a website. I always had to have a website because I watched so many agents share Zillow links or share not their website links. And if you're sharing things of value or listings that to people,
So
directing
good.
them to other people's crosshairs, you're screwing up. Like if you post a Zillow link and you're not advertising on Zillow or not, I mean, you wouldn't probably be the only one that contacts them. Hell, Zillow calls the leads. You're probably making a mistake. So
Yeah,
either you
that's super valuable. Yeah.
right. Use and I see a lot. Use your brokerage website if you have one. If not, I mean, I like, Real Scout is not necessarily as public and open, but like it's a really good tool. Not public and open, but sometimes you have to like log in before you can like use the agent site. But it's really good. I like that one a lot. But any website you can that has your IDX feed with public links, it doesn't really matter but you really need that website. If the CRM is attached to it, it's bonus points. But if not, you can always use a Google Sheet. I would probably use the broker all in one if I was going real cheap. But I think Follow Up Boss is the most usable, user-friendly CRM that's out there, and that can replace your phone. So it's all in one spot too. So
And I mean,
Google.
just to touch back on that KV core, like you said, you could have your CRM, you could post links to listings and stuff like that, create landing pages, all that kind of stuff. And it has a back end with the IDX website right back to your thing. So, yeah,
And
not
it
a
still
pitch
works
for,
today.
yeah,
It's
not a pitch for your Uncle EXP, but I mean, like I said, you get that as part of your deal. You get a website, you get a database, you get all that included with your fees.
and Lofty and a lot of the other brokerages is really good too. And EXP has some kind of deal with that as well. But I think so. If I come back to my come up, I had KV Core at the time. That's what was provided, and it's definitely clunkier than some of the other ones. I do want to point that out, but I lived and breathed it for the first 2 years of like it's all I did. Like I just constantly went in there. One of the biggest pieces for me with KV Core was what as a solo agent was watching my dashboard, who's viewing properties on the website. So um I mean, it's funny because we make this game so complicated, but you need so you can have Google for your docs and communication and calendars, right? You have Canva for your marketing, and then a good website and CRM to provide value, send the
Track your
listing,
business.
and track your communication with your clients. I mean, that's really all you need
Yeah.
to crush it. So why why if that's all you need to crush it, I'm going to transfer this out of tech a little bit. Maybe we'll see. Why are teams and coaching and stuff? Why is that relevant if that's all you need to succeed in real estate?
Well, I think, a lot of times people think, oh, I need something more advanced and sophisticated, and this is too simple. It
Is that
can't
what
be
a team provides?
huh?
Does a team provide a more advanced and sophisticated system? Is that what they provide?
Yeah, I would say they definitely do, but I think, like you said, it's, getting over that learning curve, right? So you don't have to figure everything out on your own. It's like, oh, well, now I got to, try to learn how to be a real estate agent, learn all these documents, learn all these contracts, learn the whole process from A to Z. And now I got to figure out how to use all these systems and processes, or figure out which one's the best and which one you know, and then the affordability too, right? You know, some of this stuff costs money.
Fair. So that's really good points. The learning curve is a huge one, and then well, because there's the learning curve, but also like where not to waste your time. Like, don't go down that tunnel because, oh, I did once, and I spent a year of my time wasting time on that path down using this section of KB Core or whatever it is, right? So you have that, the road traveled before you, but also, um, the cost is a big one, but keeping like, yeah, I imagine if I was joined a team, if I would have been told, don't spend the next 3 months trying to develop this really cool template for offers because it's going to break anyway. Why don't you just go contact the people that are in on your website right now instead?
Yeah.
So accountability, so that you don't. So you have the tech that you need to do the thing you need to do, but also are being held accountable to the stuff that actually moves the needle for you to get what you want out of this.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, one of the rabbit holes that I wouldn't go down to would be creating anything over like a year long drip campaign to reach out to people and all that kind of stuff. Like, I think you're going to waste a lot of time on that.
I'm happy you
Yeah.
brought that one up because I'm probably even still at times guilty of the drip campaign thing because you think it's like, well, got to have something being sent, and so what, how, and I don't know if you have like a number, but like, what's your temperature gauge on how often you've had a drip campaign um, cause a sale that wouldn't have otherwise happened?
So I'll say literally today we got a great buyer lead from our first 10 days of follow up. So now we implemented kind of the money time calling shifts 3 times a day, along with, call, text, email for the first 10 days. So 30 touch attempts for anytime contact comes in. After that 10 days, everything should be going into like a long term nurture kind of thing.
So you're saying from the manual reach outs though,
No, no, that's all automated. First 10 days.
it's doing what?
Text and
Oh.
email, text emails the first 10 days, right?
Oh, okay, so it's
Yeah.
doing the text and email portion, and
And
you got
then the calls
back
are the
from that?
shifts. Huh?
Did you get a response back from that started into
Yeah. 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 The response back from it's like, hey, what's, kind of simple. What's the best way to communicate? You want me to text you? You want me to call you? You want me to email you? Right. Then they respond to that. And it's like, okay, then we could have that dialogue and whatever.
okay.
Uh, and then
And
kind of
how
going
how
down.
does it do for you on the long term? Have you had any success there?
Yeah. So, I mean, I want to kind of keep it with like, okay, when a new client comes in or whatever fills out a form, right? That first initial time frame, first 3 days is super valuable and important for the follow up. After that, as long as you're consistently following up after day 10, right? That's kind of the different breaking point, I would say. After 2 weeks of kind of contact attempts, then, long term stuff. So we send those messages out, and we'll get replies back saying, hey, look at, I'm glad you're still reaching out to me. I am looking, I had this situation come up or whatever, but as soon as we get this taken care of, we're going to be reaching out to you and your team to help us. Like, okay, awesome, here to help when you're ready.
I had it happen once back when I, first started. It was like my second year in the business, and I went to a listing appointment, and they said, "You know why we chose you? Because, you were hungry, like, you never stopped, you never I don't mean to laugh, but it's because it was an automated campaign, and I after they told me, I said, "Well, the thing about all those emails is that was an automated campaign." I told them, I said, "But here's the deal, I use technology to my advantage. And I'm going to do that same thing whenever we get buyers on your listing here. We have a retention plan in place for the buyer leads that we get, and they
Yeah.
loved it.
Yeah.
Um, they loved it. So
Oh,
there's a
really?
lot
I
of,
would have never known. And it's like, yeah, that's why we do it.
and there's a lot of times you can't tell. But okay, so that was the good side of it. It's definitely there, but in my experience, those are rare. Um,
Super
More
rare.
often,
Unicorns, dude. Unicorns.
it's like well, and then here's the other problem. It's like, if that's true and the drip does work and it gets a response, will you respond quickly enough when the response comes in? And a lot of times no, because it comes in whenever, like, you didn't know when the automation went out.
Yeah.
So it's tricky to make those. I would just never, it's one thing to have them in place, but to just solely rely on those, eh, I think you have to get in the habit of emailing, whoever you're working with, weekly, and just talking about what's going on right now, not some automated plan. There's benefits to automation, but over the years, as many drip campaigns as I've tried, and yes, I've had some successes like Jason talked about. I have my one I talked about there, but more often than not, I get way more engagement, interaction, people asking me questions whenever I actually just do the work and
Yeah.
manually email. To
Well,
everybody.
here's the reality of it, right? So I get that question a lot of times from agents, like, "Hey, could you show me how to automate this stuff?" And then I'll ask, the reason why you're asking me this is because you're getting too busy to do your follow up, right? And that's usually a yes, right? And then the second thing is, when you set up these automations, are you going to be able to respond immediately if somebody responds back to you? If the answer is no, then you shouldn't set that up.
Yes. And then I want to talk about not doing the proper follow up. What system do you have in place to hold you accountable to the proper level of follow up? And I say this because, I mean, one, it doesn't mean you need a CRM. Of course, there's a lot of good ones that can help with that, uh, as long as you categorize the person you're working with so it triggers the right cadence of follow up. But just a
See your stages, team. Wink,
right.
wink.
Right. But a simple Google sheet, like, of seeing last contacted, could solve your issue there. But here's the reason why I bring it up. I had a friend I went to high school with. This was back in, we were working in 2018. I think this was when this happened. And he came in, we were switching CRMs at the time. So I didn't put him in the CRM. I'm like, well, he's a friend from high school. I'm going to remember to reach out to him. And
Oh,
when we switched to, yeah, that's what I said. I set him up on auto alerts, but I didn't reach out. I
yeah.
didn't reach out for 3 months, and then when we got to the new CRM and we're stable, I was like, "You know what? I wanna pull all my stuff in here too," and I pulled him in, and I realized how bad I hadn't followed up in 3 months.
Neglecting. Yeah. That should
So
be a magic word, though. If anytime you think I will remember, that should be your red flag to get a system to remember it for you, because you won't remember.
right. So, put him on the stage, and it was a 2-week reminder to follow up, and, funny how we closed 3 weeks later, or, went under contract 3 weeks later. I found that really interesting, and it's not that I was selling him, it's just that I was
Out
a
of
clear
sight, out of mind, man. Out of sight, out of mind.
well, but for him and for his case, a clear mind takes action, a clouded mind sits still. So I wasn't giving him clarity by following up and dispelling the myths about this property or that you know what I mean? I just I wasn't having the customer service that was required, really. And once I had the accountability to follow up in place, it shortened that time period. So it's not about selling when we're talking about following up. It's about properly serving the people you made connections with.
Yep.
Uh,
Let's type back to this. Let's type back. We're talking about new agents. We're talking about database. Let's talk about like an actionable system or whatever that you want to put in place for your calling and your follow up. Right? I'd say, if you want to separate yourself right now from about 80 to 90% of agents, if you just do the rule of three, 3 by 3 by 3, call, text, email the first 3 days. That's better than 90% of what agents will do and willing to commit to. So if you have
99.
somebody come in, 3 by 3 by 3, call, text, email the first 3 days, please God, and your business will be a lot further along than most agents.
Listing I currently have, got talked to her on the third day. She was waiting for a call from somebody else. It's the only reason she answered. I set the appointment to meet with her, and I competed against four other agents for that listing. I would have never gotten that appointment had I not followed up on the third day. At that time, it was just like,
Yeah.
it, it's amazing when you think about it. Like, do you how many times do you fill out a form and you get bombarded immediately, right? You don't remember anybody that reached out to you, but the
Yeah.
person that sticks with you for 3 days, 10 days, a year, like,
Yeah.
they're the only ones that stay there, and the numbers on the staying in the game there is just it's sickening, like, how many people don't continue to reach out.
Well, I have this kind of conversation like every Team Tuesday, right? And I tell them like, hey, look at you might call somebody and they might not answer that first day. And I go, think about all of you that are here today. If somebody's trying to reach out to you right now, it's not that you don't want to take their call. It's that you're listening to me, teach you stuff, right? So it's not that you don't want it, it's just you're not available, right? You know, I don't know how far I want to go down the weeds on a couple of these things, but we'll leave it at that.
100%. So, okay, cool. To finish it off, let's just say, what are you most excited for tech wise as we're staying on point on this in the coming months into 2025?
Yeah. So one thing that I think would be helpful for setting appointments with your clients is Calendly. We didn't talk about that. Where it's a free website where you could set up your email, set up a link, and people could schedule time with you. So that's a super helpful link for new agents and team members. Use that for your scheduling. I'm excited. I'm going to be signing up with. Fellow for some prospecting tools to help us take that database to the next level and get some seller leads out of that. So I'm super pumped about that. Also working with Sierra for our new IDX website that should be out not this week, next week. So we should have that kind of enrolled. So tons of different lead sources for the team, tons of different ways that we're going to be generating business for end of 2024 Q4 and beginning of 2025 Q5 25. All right. But yeah, it's super pumped about what we're doing and making a huge investment into the team for systems, processes, people, places, and things.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. No, we're doing a lot of the same things. And on our end, I'm really for 2025. I'm really excited that we're revamping the I know you and I have talked about it a lot. I mean, basically, it's like a white glove experience for our buyers
Yeah.
and sellers. I mean, we have elements of it right now, but I think tying all the pieces together into one cohesive system is going to be really exciting because it fixes a lot of things. I mean, it helps me personally with my clients because they're going to have more support as a buyer or a seller. It's going to help my team members because they're going to have a more streamlined process and obviously then more support for their buyers and sellers. But then it's also going to help. I think it's going to help grow our team because I think agents as they deal with the chaos of the real estate industry right now and all the things that are going on. They need leverage wherever they can get it, and they need value wherever they can get it. So I think us having that value offering is gonna. I think it's going to attract more agents to work with us because we're gonna provide a lot. I mean, the number one piece of feedback I think I've had over the years with my team is they love having our virtual assistant Dennis with us, our admin. He's been um, huge, and I know I wouldn't do real estate without him personally. He's amazing. So
Dennis is definitely the man for sure. Everybody loves Uncle D. Um, he's golden for sure. But like I said, having a unique value proposition for your buyers and sellers, right? And creating that kind of world-class experience. I mean, I think as the market's tough, right, we have to find ways to separate ourselves, right? If you were an agent, like what would you say if like why should I pick you over any other agent, right? It's like, right? You should have an answer to that question, right? Or what do you provide? If you don't have the stats, then you should think about joining a team so you could use the team stats, right?
Yeah, and there, yeah, and for me, and the other key is that it's all in one location. So for us, we want to tie it all into FUB, so it's clearly visible on Follow Up Boss. Because I agree with you. I talked earlier how I'm crazy with the CRM, but you have to. I might be insane under the hood,
Mhm.
but my goal, at least over the last year or two, is to present it in simple format. So we might have a lot going on behind the scenes, but what the agent sees on our team and what
Yep.
the buyer or seller sees is going to be super simple and streamlined, and it's really all going to operate from Follow Up Boss. That's
I
really
love it. Well, I have an onboarding class to train now at 2. So we are going to wrap this up and say the best tech that you could use is what you're actually going to use.
yep. Don't let all that overwhelm you. Any questions, reach out to Jason or I. We can unpack anything we talked about. And we do also have our mastermind this Sunday at 7. It's the first Sunday of October. So if you want to, get some live feedback or talk about that, we always have a little bit of a kind of like training session, and we do Q&A at the end. So sharknationlive.com, somewhere around here, join the Facebook group. We'll post the mastermind out, and
Yeah. If you want the caveman version of the business plan where you can put it on a spreadsheet, hit me up. I'll hook you up with that.
sounds good. All right, man. We'll see you next week.
Peace.